Peensters of Reddit, what are the dirty secrets in your industry? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will bake a cake. I've got two friends who worked for a Shrek's text company. Honey dude sent text to a number from the back of a magazine with some hot lady in the photo. My friends flirted back, with the side order of trying to get them to call her, presumably more profitable, phone lines. They'd talk about what they were wearing, what the men would like to do to them, how horny the text from the customers made them. Both of my friends were dudes. My friend used to work for a company like this. They'd chat up lonely 30-year-olds and send them racy pics to convince them to sign up to this website. Most of the people doing this are guys pretending to be girls. I worked as a cam girl for a pretty infamous site years back. It all started out pretty innocent, as far as peen goes. I didn't even take my clothes off for the first few weeks. The slow escalation made me some good money. Thanks, anticipation. Soon enough, I gained a stalker. He managed to get my personal information from somebody on the site and I had to deal with it myself with local PD. Nobody from the site had my back and I got fired when I told them I'd be pressing charges on one of their biggest contributors. The charges went nowhere and as far as I know he is still a frequent client on the site. My ex worked as a cam girl for a little while. She did it from home so never had to interact with the staff or anyone in person. But everyone who worked for that site was a scumbag. I worked from home as well. That's why my personal info getting, I'm assuming sold out was so scary. It wasn't the address of a workplace. It was my home address. I had to move. I dated a girl a few years back that did online peen for a small company based out of Florida. It was ran by a couple in their late 30s. She only was supposed to do solo stuff, showering, self-pleasure, fake POV, etc. But they began to pressure her to do stuff with the owners on cam which she was completely against. She got out of the business and had to take the company to court to have all of her videos and pics pulled from their websites. Woodrocket has a YouTube channel with the Ask a Peenster series which will pretty much top anything discussed on this thread. Puke, shoot, period blood, an 8-ball jammed into a PP, dong saws, drugs, stalkers, being stranded on a shack in Brazil are the ones I vividly remember. If this is the same thing I watched, there is this one part where a male performer goes on the best rant I've ever heard. Paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of, look, you can't be surprised if you frick a girl in the butt and some poop comes out. The butt is where poop leaves, that's poop's house. You wouldn't go to my house and be surprised when you see me there, would you? Yup, if you party where poop leaves, don't be surprised if poop shows up. My ex was a cam girl. Never really bothered me. Was kinda hot to me that my girlfriend was on cam being wanted by all these guys. One fan of hers is figured out where we lived in CA and we didn't know how he knew until after. He left her really sick notes on her door. One was the last straw for me. He pretty much promised he'd sneak in her house and make her CNC rape fantasy come true. She did a kind of ask me anything on her cam one night and admitted to her kink of it. For 2 weeks I never left her side. I'd drive her to work, her normal 9-5, and pick her up. One night a week was her girls' night where they'd meet up and just hang out. That got cancelled. This dude fricked up our leaves during this time. In 2 weeks we got nothing. No letters, no messages on social media. So, she thought he moved on. One night she went out in my car. I'm sitting on the couch when I hear footsteps upstairs. Turns out dude knew I was there and was watching our cars. When my car left he thought she was alone. Mind you, I'm 6 feet 225 and in the military at the time. I beat this dude senseless. Cops come along. They arrest him. At this point I find out how this frick figured out where my then girlfriend lived. It was the cam site's owner's brother-in-law. Dude would sit in girls' cams he liked and pull up their info and find girls that lived nearby and try to hook up with them. Damn dude, this was a very interesting story. We lie to you. We're selling a product, the Shreks, the persona, whatever. Like actors do press tours. Everything a peen star. or any other king of Shrek's worker does on social media is advertising to convince you to buy. So we tell you we love it, that we're all a happy family, that we think you're great and thank you for supporting us. Anything to make you click and pay. You would think I wouldn't have to say this, but unfortunately you're wrong. It's not real a huge amount of the time. We are paid to lie, and behind the scenes it can be very pressurized if you even let a little bit slip that makes things sound less than 100% happy-go-lucky Lutz. It's incredibly stressful if you experience a scene you don't want to do, but can't really tell anyone, because people get pissed off when you ruin their fantasies, or they don't believe you because of the lies the industry sells that we're all about Shreks all the time. So much abuse, drug abuse, emotional blackmail. Rape is more common than anyone wants to acknowledge, and one of the things that made me quit and get intense therapy was the knowledge of how many rape scenes are real. I experienced what was packaged as a rough Shrek scene. I had bruising and tears and it was traumatizing. I cried in the scene because my partner, who had his own issues to be fair, was too big for me and not acting his roughness. Our buyers enjoyed it, I was told. There are so many victims stuck in the industry. You don't know right away, but then you talk, or you watch in between filming and you just know. You hear the rumors. Buyers have no idea except in the back of their minds that there are so many abused people stuck in the industry, and they don't want to think about it because it ruins the fantasy. But you have no idea what it does to you when you meet a very young guy glazed out of his pool mind on God knows what, needing drugs to get hard, and underneath it all you realize he is scared and ashamed. All the women who do so many scenes, but who barely see any money from it, kept pool, because keeping them pool keeps them stuck in the industry. A lot of people work sick, which is just uncomfortable. So many scenes where someone is hurling into a bucket off camera or running into the bathroom. Fainting isn't uncommon. Weird sensations like numbness or tight chests or muscles, which I guess is drugs or stress or exhaustion. Other stars can be worse than the staff. Because if you make the industry look bad, people start asking questions. They might lose buyers and money. They can push you more and sometimes get away with more under the guise of encouragement or protecting their image. Young men from all over Asia are heavily exploited. It breaks my heart. So many of these guys are so young and pool and put into uncomfortable gay male scenes. The trends towards extrema and extrema acts is disturbing and makes me glad I am safe from it. It's worst in gay male and straight scenes. I have no experience of the former because I'm not a guy, but I've heard stories and seen enough footage. It's just not healthy, emotionally or physically, where things are going. People have become normalized and desensitized to previous stuff. It's not enough for them, or it gives them the taste for more. So now gaping, extreme stretching and prolapse peen is a very hot trend. When you say this stuff, people send you death threats and rape threats. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl. You get told the most vilest things. People are terrified of getting violent threats if they speak out about. We lie to you. We're selling a product, the Shreks, the persona, whatever. Like actors do press tours. Everything a peen star, or any other king of Shrek's worker, does on social media is advertising to convince you to buy. So we tell you we love it, that we're all a happy family, that we think you're great and thank you for supporting us. Anything to make you click and pay. You would think I wouldn't have to say this, but unfortunately you're wrong. It's not real a huge amount of the time. Yet, it's surprising to me when people are like, but Star while this podcast talks about how awesome the industry is and how she loves her co-workers etc etc. Yet, no shoot. She might be telling the truth, but why do you trust her? She's 100% incentivized to make things sound great. And I'm not anti-peen. Just saying. I've worked for a fetish clips site for about 7 years now. I've been involved in production a handful of times, mostly doing camera work, but sometimes being a slave for a clip. Very light stuff like foot or armpit worship. One time I was doing camera for a trampling clip where the two doms were standing on this slave in stilettos, but having a casual conversation, as if they weren't even aware that they were standing on some dude's face and stomach and junk. At about mid-scene, one of the girls changes her footing and steps a little lower on the guy's abdomen, and the guy instantly lets out this huge fart. We all just died laughing and had to take a break to gather ourselves. Easily the funniest thing that ever happened to me while filming a clip. Stilettos. Okay. Standing on some dude's face and stomach and junk. Oh no. Changes her footing and steps a little lower on the guy's abdomen. No. Guy instantly lets out this huge fart. Oh, hell, that's pretty funny. Thought that stiletto was about to go right through him. PHEWF. Not a peen star, but I've worked in the industry for 10 plus years. Peen has a lot of problems despite being more normalized and unstigmatic than it's ever been. The dirtiest secret in my opinion is what happens with two current studios in particular, not going to name them, because I don't want to give them clicks, traffic, who film, distribute and profit off of what is legitimately coercion and sexual abuse, exploitation. That is, often a young, relatively inexperienced actress who is new to the biz gets duped by a sleazy agent or books herself under the pretense that she is going to be doing a relatively innocuous straightforward scene when in reality she gets there and gets absolutely brutalized for content that is very clearly marketed and made for men that freaking hate women. The industry knows about this obviously, but since it is by and large legitimized by consent and creators always have rank over performers, it looks the other way. It actually happened recently and the actress in question came out about it, but instead of having her back, everyone took the side of the studio since no one wants to make waves or bring outside civilian attention to it, and she has essentially been blacklisted as a result. Disgusting. Facial Abuse is one of the worst companies. Not sure if it's the one you mean, but a lot of their content is not filmed with express consent. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will bake a cake.